What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, alongside my co-host,
Mikey Fever. What's going on?
Is New Yorker's perspective. We got to throw the beat on. Somebody said, "Yo, you need to keep putting that beat on with the piano."
Heard, I seen that.
They like that joint.
That.
And let's throw up the intro. What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Peace.
Everything's peace. Everything's peace.
Peace. How you brothers feeling, man?
To the good, brother. To the good.
Oh, before we get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to the family. Shout outs to Meow. Shout out to Snooky Meow. Shout out to my little homie King. Smart kid, man. Stay strong. Peace.
Yo, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to brother Sharif Anil Bey talking about meditation. Something that I'm gonna need right now. I'm on this mission to get my body in shape, get my body in tip-top shape, get my my organs intact the way they're supposed to be. You know, clean out my blood, you know, ready to go shopping, big shopping, lots and lots and lots of vegetables.
Yeah.
You know, I've been hesitant on starting and doing my own kind of fitness piece on this thing. I'm trying to bring other people on to talk about fitness, but you know, it seems like everybody in the fitness world is like super busy, which I think we all are. Right. So I guess I'm gonna have to do it myself. So look out for that. We're gonna do a whole Tuesday. Tuesday is gonna have to. Every other Tuesday is gonna have to be Fitness Tuesday. Fitness Tuesday. Every other Tuesday is gonna be me and the acupuncturist we just had on. So they're gonna be me 1 week, then acupuncturist. Me 1 week, then acupuncturist.
Nice.
That's how that's gonna go. But anyway, we're going into today's subject. Kamala Harris, the Dred Scott case. Are Black people American citizens? This is a great topic.
Yo,
let's talk the climate that we're in.
This is an interesting topic, people. I mean, you know, it's the climate we're in, and I mean, there's a number of working parts with this. Why this is coming up? You have a group, a Republican group, and I got to be honest with you. I say Republican very loosely. Okay, because what we've had, and we've talked about this before, what we've had at present, in today's present social political climate, is two separate special interest groups that have hijacked and largely taken over the two major political parties. That's what we're dealing with right now. Okay, which is also why, and which is a side note, you're seeing more and more Republican elected officials and prominent Republicans saying, I'm not going to leave the party, but I'm not going to vote for Trump. You're seeing that more and more because they're recognizing, yeah, now things are a little too far. We got to distance ourselves from the special interest that is now the radical, you know, section. That's portraying itself to be mainstream Republican.
Radical on both ends. Crazy.
And you have it on the Democrat side, too. That's the truth. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the truth. You know,
so
my question, Go ahead.
So my question to you is, when it's time to vote in November, and, you know, I know a lot of people are feeling the same way I'm feeling. It's like you got Kamala on one end, and then you have Donald Trump on the other end. I don't want to vote for either of them.
Gotcha. I hear you.
So, you know, what to do? Like, I mean, my thing is, I want to focus on policy.
This is what I would do. First and foremost, I would, and I don't want to take too much on this because I want to really touch on this Dred Scott thing. But this is what I would do. Okay. I would keep in mind, I would hammer in my head this very solid truth. Politics is always local.
Right.
The only election that is not local is the presidential.
That's a fact.
My focus would be on the local and regional elections.
Most important.
Because that's going to directly impact myself and my community.
That's a fact.
Directly. See? That would be my focus. I'm not going to tell people or even give an opinion on which way they should go with the presidential election. All I'm saying about that is that that's not the one that's most important. And most people don't realize that.
I agree with you 100%. And how Ron feel about the election, that's how I feel as well.
A lot of people
like on both. I'm on the fence with that, and not to be facetious, but I say Eric B for president, man.
Right. Now, on this topic, what you have is, politics is dirty. And I want to say this as a preface. Politics and government are not synonymous, people. They're not. Government is management. And management of what? Management of public money and services. What public? The public, the people. Okay? They are the managers. The people are the boss. Politics is the ongoing public relations campaign to determine who the managers are. That's why it's so dirty. All right? Now, you have a particular group called the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. Like I said, I use the word Republican loosely in this respect. What you're seeing now is what's called, and this is another topic altogether too, what's called the Southern Strategy, but this is Southern Strategy 2.0. The Southern Strategy was a strategy put forward, right, by Dixiecrats in the 60s in direct response to LBJ signing off on the Civil Rights Act of 65 and the Voting Rights Act of 65. It was at this point that the Dixiecrats abandoned the Democratic Party and went to the Republican Party. Okay? It's important to understand. And how did they do it? And then how did they do it? Or one of the major strategies was to virulently and aggressively fan overt racial hostility to gain support from a racist European base. That's literally what we're looking at today. That's literally what we're looking at today. That's why I said it's Southern Strategy 2.0. See? So I have to paint that backdrop so you can understand why this group, the National Federation of Republican Assemblies, would put together this bulletin of reasons why Kamala Harris cannot be president. And one of them is Scott v. Sanford of 1857. And here is the issue. They're saying that the Dred Scott case or Scott v. Sanford, the decision was Black people or Negroes of African descent, whether slave or free, were not included in the Constitution and therefore are not American citizens.
Wow.
There's going to be a whole lot of our people that agree with that and go, yes, see, now they have to come out with it. And yes, they're right. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's a problem, people. Because first, okay, let me ask you all of the timing, relative to the timing of this coming out and them going public with this, right? This case is how old?
It's like about 200, close to 200 years old.
Yeah. So why isn't it enforced? If that was let me say this, if that was the decision of the court, why is that not enforced? How are we still here? How are any of us that look like us running for office anywhere? How are we voting anywhere? How are we participating in American society if that was the decision? Because there have been way more racist Europeans since 1857, haven't they? If that was the decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
How could you even be tried in court?
I mean, I guess it's based on amendments and changes in law and things of that nature throughout time.
But now we have to, but then if that's true, then we have to put our finger on what changed it. What law made you a citizen?
What is it, the 14th Amendment?
Yeah, that's what people say, but that's not true. You know why it's not true? I can explain the basic civics 101. Citizenship is based on what, people?
Nationality?
Well, nationality is a quality that comes with citizenship.
Okay.
Oh, how about that? So, but what is citizenship itself based on?
Participation in government.
Say close. I like that. I like that. Here it is, people. Citizenship is based on allegiance.
That's my
Right.
We do it. See, citizenship is based on allegiance. And in this country, it's presumed either by birth or naturalization. There you go. See? So, if that was the decision, legislation, there's no such thing as legislation that just blanket makes a whole bunch of people citizens. Because where was the allegiance? You see? The 14th Amendment did not make citizens. And anybody that disagrees with that needs to research U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark. Research the Supreme Court case. U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark. That case tells you the decision of that case was that the 14th Amendment doesn't give or confer citizenship. The 14th Amendment only, listen close, affirmed citizenship for people, right? And regardless of former state of servitude, there you go. It affirmed what kind of citizenship? Birthright citizenship. Check the case for yourself. You see, it affirmed. So now let's get back to Dred Scott, Scott v. Sanford. Everybody's very familiar with the Chief Justice, Justice Roger Taney's opinion. And they take his opinion on the case as the decision. All you have to do is ask people, what is the actual decision? Scott v. Sanford. Most people are going to give you Taney's opinion. That was not the decision. If you pull it up on LexisNexis right now, you pull it up on Google right now, the actual case, Scott v. Sanford, decision. You know what the decision was? Dismissed for lack of jurisdiction.
I did see that in reading that case. Yes, about the
decision.
federal, like in a certain state considered to be free, but under federal jurisdiction.
Why was that the decision? Answer: because who brought the case to the Supreme Court? Dred Scott.
Oh.
They said so. But follow me. Now, here's the second thing we have to be very clear on. What was the particulars of the case? Was it a citizenship case or was it a property case?
I say property.
Exactly. It was not a citizenship case. This is very important, and we're going to get back to this. It's not a citizenship case. It was a property case. The question was, when his master brought him into Missouri Territory at a particular point, and there's no slavery in Missouri Territory, was he free or was he still property? That was the question. The final determination was that he was property, which is why he had no standing, which is why the case was dismissed. Now, follow me. There's a very important word in legalese, in legal language of art. The word is called dictum, D-I-C-T-U-M. Okay? What does it mean? This is what it means. It means when a judge or a justice gives words, advice, information on a case but the words they're saying have nothing to do with the case. See that?
Crazy.
Taney's opinion about Negro, whether slave or free, was not part of the Constitution of we the people, and therefore is not a citizen and has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. That's dictum, people. That's an opinion, and it had nothing to do with the case, because the case was not a citizenship case. It wasn't a question of whether Dred Scott was a citizen or not. See? What did Prophet Noble Drew Ali say about matters like this? General opinion is no proof of truth, for the generality of men are ignorant.
That's deep right there. That's real.
See? Just because the majority are saying it, don't make it right. And a lot of this
public opinion.
Take your emotions out of it and then read the words. That's it.
That's real.
See? Just read the words.
Gotcha.
You read the case. Most people haven't read the case. They just read Taney's opinion. And then take his opinion as the decision. That wasn't the decision. The decision on Scott v. Sanford was dismissal for lack of jurisdiction.
So now, in this case with Kamala Harris, what's exactly being spoken about right now?
They're saying that oh, she says she's black now. Oh, okay. Well, black people can't be aren't citizens, therefore she can't be president.
Right. Okay. So, but this is kind of going to be swept under the rug. This is like that's kind of irrelevant at this point.
It's not going to really go anywhere. But again, right. the significance is the fact that people are going public with it. A so-called reputable Republican organization is actually going public with it. That shows signs of desperation, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does.
That's the significance.
This whole thing is a show, man.
But here's the thing, right? You can weaken people. You can weaken the opposition, even though you know your weapon isn't going to eradicate the opposition, but it can definitely weaken them. Because guess what? There's a whole bunch of our people that think that Dred Scott that Taney's opinion is the Dred Scott decision. See how that works? There's going to be a whole bunch of our people that are going to go, yes, she can't be president. And they're going to try to cite that.
Now, we always bring up this Dred Scott case.
Yes.
And I know you just went over it, but I just want you to give me more details as far as this case is concerned, so people can know what this is and the significance of it, and and how it pertains to today.
Scott v. Sanford still remains a very significant case, but not for the reasons most people think. You know why this case was significant? Because it was the very first time ever that our government had to verbally define citizenship.
Deep, man.
That's why. This was the first time that the government had to define citizenship, people. First time. On paper. See that? That's what makes it significant. There had to be a verbal clarification. I'm sorry. Back up. I'm sorry. Dred Scott forced that. The Dred Scott case forced the 14th Amendment, the wording in the 14th Amendment. So people say 14th Amendment overthrew Dred Scott. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. The people that say 14th Amendment overthrew Dred Scott are the same people that mistakenly believe that Taney's opinion is the decision. It never was. See? So Scott v. Sanford understand, we got to properly contextualize things. What was going on in the world at that time? That was the eve of what, people? The South seceding from the Union in 1861. Taney was a Confederate. They already saw what was coming. So what were the Confederates fighting for? To preserve the peculiar institution, which is what? Slavery. They were fighting to preserve it.
So it's really business.
That's all it is.
They were fighting to preserve it. Lincoln, right, was fighting to preserve the Union, not to free our people, to preserve the Union.
That's a fact.
And if he could have done it without the Emancipation Proclamation, he would have done so. So says Lincoln himself.
He would have been alive.
Right. He said, if I could have saved the Union without it, I would have done it. Understand? That's what. That's it. See, that is it. There was a listen, and some more.
Real quick question to in the chat. Why the Union? Okay, he says. So why
was he trying to preserve it?
Preserve it, and why the Union?
Good question. Right? Because the Union is the United States of America. Right? There's another very famous case in 1945. The case is called Hooven Allison Company versus EVAT, 1945. This was the first time that the phrase United States was legally defined. See what I'm saying? This was the first time that the United States was legally defined, and it defined it as a legal metaphor. It could mean any one of three things. So you have to properly contextualize. So we could say United States, but what do we mean by that? Are we talking about Congress assembled? Because that's one meaning. Are we talking about the 50 states in union? That's another meaning. See that? What if we're saying Estados Unidos de Mexico? Oh, that's another United States. Woo, that's in the international scene. See? We just got to be clear with what we're saying. So that's Hooven Allison Company versus EVAT. But back on Dred Scott and back on the 14th Amendment, right? Dred Scott, that was the eve of the Civil War. And to answer the brother's question, without the Union, there is no United States. So Lincoln smartly was like, look, we got to preserve that or else we have no reason to be here. Which is another topic altogether. See that? Here's another example where the Union, via the federal government, went against the will of the Southerners. Right? Integration. Remember when they forced integrated the schools, Little Rock, Arkansas? How did they do it? Federal troops.
I remember that.
Europeans went crazy. Right? Of course, to them, they were short-sighted. They're thinking, oh, you're ruining our America. You're ruining our way of life. You're letting these darkies come to our schools and blah, 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 right? But in retrospect, what happened? We know it was integration that killed Black Wall Street, wasn't it?
That's a fact.
It was integration that killed collective economics, community economics amongst our people. Wasn't it?
It did.
See? The Union via the federal government had a broader view, didn't they? All right. See that? So let's go
real
back.
Quick before we go into it.
Sure.
We got the brother on P.
Tried logging in, man, through the computer, man. That wasn't happening, bro.
Oh, see, man, run through that. I didn't even see that one.
Mikey, I gotta introduce you, bro. Listen, and the viewers, I gotta introduce you. This man right here is one of the two brothers that hugely influenced me and some of my comrades coming up Syracuse and Syracuse University. This guy was one of my two mentors. This is brother Jay Chism, aka Shahid Allah.
Peace.
This brother right here was like, they had so much of an impact and influence on me coming up. You know, him and our brother Ajay Tahimba.
That's P.
No. Listen, Shahid can tell you. Ajay, in those days, listen, bro. This is what I was cut from. Brother Ron, Brother Mikey. these guys to get, you know, because they were trying to get rid of African American studies, man, they took over the whole building. Right?
Statements.
Right,
Shahid?
Well, that was during Brother IJ's dispensation on the yard, which was after we did what we did in the early 80s from 80 to 86. We can talk about that.
Yes. Yo, listen, they got busy up here, bro. You hear me? Like they paved the way for us because we was acting up too, but they opened the lane for us. I promise you they did.
Well, I will say this, that by the spring of 1986, when my class was getting ready to graduate, my sans, Charles Winder, we call him Chuck E. Cheese, he was the president of the Student African American Society, which, by the way, doesn't exist on Syracuse.
It doesn't exist anymore. That's right.
And we can talk about that too.
Yes,
yeah, when did they get rid of that?
Just recently. Just recently. And they tried to get rid of the African American Studies program.
African American Studies, yep, that's right.
But Chuck's phone rang, my phone rang, and Brother IJ's phone rang, and then we got to operating with that. But what I will just say, to cut to the chase with regards to my senior year spring semester, things were so hot on the campus because my sans, who I played the Jamaican Top 5 with in the spring of 1984, Charles Winder, he had studied the system so well as the SGA comptroller in our sophomore year. He studied the finances and he knew how to, you know, massage and manipulate the finances to the point where the Student African American Society had a budget of $120,000.
Yep.
Again, we were bringing up all the revolutionaries and Mary Baraka, you know, those type.
That's real.
Angela Davis. I mean, I could run the roll call.
That's real.
And we had that campus rocking and rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't just doing that, but we were having private Black-only meetings on campus. I was the dean of pledges for the lamp line that semester. I had the lamps at the door blocking all non-Indigenous people from coming in the meeting.
Yep.
We made the front cover of the Daily Orange and other
Yep.
newspapers.
Yep.
Stuff was getting death threats. They were tired of us. We were shutting down the administration building. You know, it was the whole anti-apartheid dispensation back then. And it was real hot, you know. And they were also hot because at that time, all Black organizations on that campus, we control our own finances. When Mega Sci-Fi had a party, that money was ours. When Black Pen held the umbrella organization over all the Black frats and sororities on the yard, when Black Pen Hell had a party or had the Greek Freak, which drew 10,000 people, $10 a head, that money was ours to do what we wanted to do with it.
That's right.
When we brought up the Nation of Islam or whoever we brought up, Black Panthers or whoever it was that we control narrative, the security, and the environment.
Actual fact.
So they began to operate immediately after we left. It was like, okay, these ninjas are gone. Let's put some quote unquote policy in place.
Yeah.
Let's erase BEOG and all of these different financial supplements that were there to help bring, you know, how did they label us? The misguided, troublemaking Black kids. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, actual fact. Y'all had, you know, and shout out to him because he's still on campus. Professor Duajiman, remember him?
Yes.
Man, y'all had him so shook. When we came through, he saw our spirit immediately. He said, "Nah, I know what that is."
He didn't want to smoke. They didn't want any of that smoke.
No.
From past. So, you know, they put things in place. It took them a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we continue, I want the audience to know exactly who you are, Brother Shahid.
Please.
Explain, you know, where you're from, and you know, your history a little bit.
right? Originally hailing from Medina, as the gods call it, Brooklyn,
Yeah.
York. You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about New York, well, you ask somebody from New York City where you from, you say, well, I'm from, this borough, that borough.
Right.
But outside of the boroughs, it's still New York. It's a big state. But I hail from New York City. I spent a lot of my adolescence in Queens, in the Springfield Gardens area.
Oh wow, Springfield. Hey!
Watch out.
I was out there like crazy back in the days in the summertime.
Come on.
Like 97, 98.
Come on.
Around that time.
Queens get the money.
Queens get the money.
They got all the honeys out there too. Shout out to Queens.
You know what it is.
Right.
I landed from my college tour at Syracuse University in the fall of 1982 in the infancy of hip hop. We were on campus. My man Zulu, rest in peace, was breakdancing on the yard, on cardboard. We had the big, quote unquote ghetto blasters playing the music, hip hop, bebop, all that good stuff. The Africa Bambaataa Bang Bangs, and all of those old school beats. I came from that era. I majored in marketing and speech communications. I graduated in the spring of 1986. I moved back to New York City. Started out in the advertising arena, synchronal media, 1515 Broadway. Realized that wasn't it, because they paying you peanuts back then. I started writing because I was, as Brother Sharif will tell you, the first one among the gods, the 5%, to write a book. I wrote the first book, Thy Kingdom Come. I wrote the second book, but even before I did that, I helped start the first national newspaper, The Gods and Herbs, called The Word, which was very successful. However, we were overwhelmed. Newspaper circulating. I was the marketing director, but I was also everything else that everybody else was. You know how those kind of operations, well, we did everything. We did the layout, the writing, the research, the design. We went to the printer and picked the paper up. We distributed the paper among, mailing it out, having people pick it up at the Universal Parliament in Mecca, which is otherwise known as Harlem. We did everything. It ran for 2 years. That went under. I kept writing. I was writing while I'm hanging out in the studio with Prince Rakeem. He was just Prince Rakeem then. He wasn't the
right.
RZA.
Hold on. Shout out to our brother. I'm gonna throw you back, Shahid. Shout out to our good brother Brian Gadry, aka Picasso.
Watch out now.
Picasso is one of the major reasons why I came to Syracuse University. But also, you guys remember Rakim when he first Prince RZA's first album cover on Tommy Boy, Prince Rakim. Remember that?
Yeah.
Picasso designed the cover.
Is that right?
Picasso did that.
So Brother Shahid, where did you get knowledge from? Is that your foundation, the 5% Nation?
Yes.
Okay, and you got knowledge from Medina?
Well. Now let me just add on to that by saying that knowledge is the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Any way you slice it, those lessons, the mathematics, supreme alphabet, lost found Muslim lesson number 1 and 2, student enrollment 136, actual facts, solar facts. It all comes from Master Fard Muhammad. Who
Wait, hold on. So you saying the supreme mathematics come from Farad?
Yes, sir.
Can you show and prove?
Yes, I can. Problem number 13 in the problem book, 34 problems. It mentions the 26 letters and the 10 numbers, which is otherwise known as Allah, B, C, divine, equality, Father, God, He, I, Islam, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. The 10 numbers is knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement, power, equality, God, Allah, so on and so forth. So that don't take much to figure that out. Now, there are many jewels and gems inside of the life-giving teachings on Elijah Muhammad that certain doors open up at certain times and certain jewels begin to be used. We have to give credit where credit is due. And when the man called Allah, who came out of Temple Number 7 under the Malcolm X administration, brought those jewels to the babies in New York City and breathed life into the babies, of course we have to give credit where credit is due.
Sure. Now okay, I've never, now like I said, like I'm not going to take what you're saying on face value, because I've never seen the problem. I think you said problem
book, problem number 13.
13, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now how the math goes is knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, power, refinement, or power, depending on who you talk to. Power, equality, God, build or destroy, born, cipher. Right. So are you saying those knowledge through born as cipher, those all come from the 13th question and answer from the problem book?
Well, it's 34.
34.
And problem number 13. I mean, I got problem number 13 right here, brother. You want me to read it to you?
After learning mathematics, which is Islam, and Islam's mathematics, he stands true, you can prove it in no limited time. Now you must learn to use it and secure wealth for yourself while you are living. That is money, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life. Seek yourself in heaven at once as a great desire your brother and teachers. And then there's a second part that outlines, and I'm paraphrasing. He can read it exactly, where it says there's 10 numbers
and 26 letters.
And 26 letters. And said, he who speaks 400 words is considered spoken well.
So there it is. So now, but you know how you can tell that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement, it comes from, what is the meaning of civilization?
One having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, and refinement. It's not a savage and a pursuit.
Stop. What'd you say, brother, in the beginning? One having, it's right there.
Right. That's understood. That's understood. Just my thing is the way that it's taught in the 5% nation is as is: knowledge, wisdom, culture, freedom, power. Right. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, power, refinement, or power, equality, God, build or destroy, born, add, cipher. Now, however, okay, now maybe it did, like, obviously it was divinely prepared, as they would say in Moorish science. It divinely prepared. So there's nothing new under the sun. So we all get things, and then
not at all. Not at all. So because, and we're dealing with a specific jewel of the teachings, and we have to give credit where credit is due, right? Moorish science deal with mathematics and the compass and the square and all that. And see, in masonry, the mathematics, or the way we use it to the code shroud stuff, because sometimes we want to speak in a dialect that the naked eye or the naked ear can't detect, because we're trying to convey something in a way where it's discreet, right? Masonry, what's that? Silence and caution. It's called gematria, which science that dates back to the
Mike, you know about that?
Where they coded, the scriptures are coded. Michael Drosden wrote the book, The Bible Code. Right. He developed a whole computer program where he showed and proved that when you feed the original text, Hebraic text, through the computer program, the mathematical decodification of the scriptures deals with the science of how you can break down the mathematical value and the meaning of what? Words, sentences, and paragraphs to discern the prophetical value.
Can I say one thing? A-I-O-U. For those who know, you know.
There it is.
Right.
So this is interesting science, man. And I see we speaking God dialect up in here. So
indeed. So I wanted to go back to where you get knowledge from. You got knowledge from Medina, right?
I got knowledge in the desert.
In the desert. Okay.
I got knowledge in the desert because I spent a great part of my adolescence in the desert. My junior high school years and high school years, I spent it in the desert. And for those who may not understand that 5% dialect, the desert, which actually became the oasis.
Oasis. Yeah.
And that's a whole nother story. I can touch on a part of that.
Right.
Is otherwise known as Queens, New York.
Yes, sir.
And although I was born in Medina, I got the light in the desert. Now, I was exposed to it in Medina from my cousins, born mathematics and knowledge born. May they both rest in peace. May Allah be pleased. And one was in New York and one was in Canarsie, for those who are familiar with Medina. But I got it at the age of 16 in the fall semester of my senior year. And I received it from a god named Knowledge Bill, who came out of the circle of gods that were taught by Allah mathematics. For anybody that knows about the great god Allah mathematics, who was very, very influential among the gods and the earths back in the early 70s and going into the mid 80s. The god was unfortunately returned to the essence violently in Roy Wilkins Park. Won't go into that too much, but very influential. So I was blessed to receive the light from one of the older gods that was actually taught by Allah mathematics.
Okay. So you were taught by one of the gods who was taught by Allah mathematics.
Yes.
Okay, and so who was your enlightener exactly? Pardon me, God.
Oh, I gotta go old school on you, man. The only enlightener that I know is the song "Peace, Allah, and Justice."
I knew he was gonna say that.
Yeah. Okay. So who was your educator?
We didn't really. We said we hailed from a tree, but we never really acknowledged that one person that gave us those initial sparks of light as being our enlightener or guide. We never really looked at it like that. I have to give it to you the way it was given to me, and the way I gave it to those who I taught, and even now, as an FOI, I've been among the FOI, the ranks of the FOI, since 1992.
Right.
And the brothers that I still teach, and the brothers that I teach, I say, I'm not your enlightener. I'm not your leader, teacher, and guide. Don't look at me like that. Right. Because see, God, in truth, he stands on his own 2 feet. He evolves a cipher of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and pulls whatever he needs to develop his growth in character and the light that he revolves around on his own axis. He doesn't.
Planets are something made or grown from the beginning, right?
Thank you.
Right.
And this is old school. This is dealing with the purity of the teachings. Because
pardon me, brother. I don't mean to
get watered down.
Pardon me, I don't mean to cut you with all due respect.
No
the reason why I'm asking is because I know the true teachings, you're supposed to be able to trace yourself back to the root. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. How do you trace yourself back? But as you said, y'all don't see it. You don't see it like that. So that's peace.
Well, I gave you like when we first started talking, and I said, we first started talking about the lessons. I said, well, hold on, wait a minute. These are the life-giving teachers, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that came from Master Farad Muhammad. That's all. That's any of us that have the 120. If you're dealing with 120, it don't matter whether you took 120 into the Moorish Science Temple, if you took it, into the mosque, Muhammad's mosque. If you took it, some of us took it into the Masonic order. Some of us, wherever you took it, the root of it is basically Master Farad Muhammad. And then I gave you the name of the brother who gave me my initial light knowledge, Bill, and then I also gave you the one who taught him. So we can trace it like that, but I also let you know the perspective that we came from as God body by saying that that term enlightener, we didn't really use that.
Mm.
Okay, so you can go enlightener or you can go educator. No, from the way I came up in the teachings is that uh, you're supposed to be able to be traced back to the root. And so I understand what you're saying. However, I know in the 5% teachings, that's the way it goes. Like you're supposed to be able to trace yourself back to the root. So if someone were to ask me who I got knowledge from, I can go, I got knowledge from Truth Divine, who got knowledge from Firstborn Prince. And that'll lead you back to the first nine born. So that's how it from what I understand, what I know, that's how it goes.
Yes, sir.
But,
I came
but
a lot of the elders. Law mathematics was alive when I got knowledge. I didn't necessarily keep his company to a great extent because young God, I was still in high school. As a matter of fact, I got it in my senior year, and then I went off to college and I met the gods up in Syracuse, who were at Syracuse University.
Right.
And of course, I was still interacting with the gods, and I would come home. Law mathematics, unfortunately, was murdered in Roy Wilkins Park in 1985. I did meet some of the other gods that were taught by him. Beloved, Allah Supreme. Beloved is the one I was talking to Sharif earlier today. We were discussing how the law school is being renovated, how that whole plan was green lighted. We can go into that later. But I think we mutually agree, Lord. I think it's just a matter of language. I gave you my roots. I can give you more of my roots. We don't hide, God, among the gods. We build blocks. So, my door is open to you, Lord.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, can you add on what, as far as the topic is concerned, are Black people American citizens?
Well,
let's give him some context first, right?
Okay.
Yeah, let's don't throw him out there in the cold like that. So let's give him some context. So there's a group, what's the name of the organization? It's a Republican organization called what are they called? The National Federation of Republican Assemblies. They're going after Kamala, right? And so they put up a bullet list of why she can't be president. And one of the bullets they put up was Scott v. Sanford, Dred Scott case.
I heard about it.
Right. So that's so that's one of them. That's what we're addressing specifically. Because I don't want to lead you, but one of the things that I had just mentioned earlier before you came on was that one of the greatest misconceptions about Scott v. Sanford is people take Justice Taney's opinion on the case as the decision on the case, and they've never read the case.
And knowledge is the foundation. We deal with mathematics, so knowledge is the foundation. The wisdom is the way. Or it's the spoken word, or it's the written word.
Right.
On a legal field, because I work in a legal field.
Yes, sir.
You have opinions that you read when you write briefs, things of that nature. You want to called current good law. You don't want to have some old cases that are been nullified. Don't have any that can't be applied anymore. Right. And of course, we the gods deal with applied mathematics, life. Right. So the first thing when I hear a question like that, I look at the words. And the first thing that stood out to me, I go to the beginning of the student of Rome. Who is the original man? The original man is what? The Black man, the maker of the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, and the God of
universe.
No, the God of the universe, which is 76 quintillion miles. 7 and 6 is God's equality. So the Caucasian man talks about 1776, and that was, the beginning of their independence and all that. But when we say 76, we're dealing with the whole universe, right? So, of course, the 85%, those who don't have knowledge of themselves, they may be under the perception that they are germane to this part of the planet Earth. We say the 196,940,000 square miles of the Earth, 3/4 of it is the water. All of that is ours in the whole universe. So, of course, we are in North America. I'm assuming that all y'all are in the realm of North America at this point when we're doing this interview.
Yeah.
And, America, correct me if I'm wrong, but that comes from an Italian man, Amerigo Vespucci.
Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
Amerigo. Yep.
I'm not Italian. My lineage, I trace it. I'll go back to East Asia, otherwise known as Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to Italy. I know that people say the Italians are 1/8 black or whatever. They deal with the whole science of Hannibal and all that. So that's one thing. Do I consider myself to be of the lineage of Amerigo Vespucci? No.
Right.
Am I a black man? Do I consider myself to be of the original man that came out of the triple darkness of space? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this stuff is semantics, and I know they're trying to disqualify the system, but of course, when you're dealing with rational thought,
right,
we know that President Obama was already president, right?
You hit it right on the nose. That's right.
So, I mean, are we trying to like say that we're going back in time and we erasing what already was?
Right.
No, we can't do that. Come on, man.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good point.
So now, I want to just ask another question as far as like, so right now you're currently a member of the Nation of Islam.
Yes.
Okay. In Syracuse.
No. He's not.
Oh, okay.
No, I went to Syracuse University.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I graduated in 1986, and I went back.
Oh.
Right.
Now, in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
I eventually left,
Mm-hmm.
and born understanding, I went down south, spent a couple of years down there. It was too far. Georgia was too far down south, and I brought my family to Maryland, and that's where I've been. That's where I lay my head. Although I'm in the city a lot.
Yes.
I'm in New Jersey. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in the 5 boroughs. I'm upstate. I'm out Midwest. I'm all over the place.
Right. Right.
Got you. So the Nation of Islam in Maryland.
Well, that mosque is actually in DC, mosque number 4, which just historically speaking, that was the first mosque that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad established. Master Prophet Muhammad established the first 3. And mosque before was the first one that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad built from the ground up. And he actually built that. He was on the run from the hypocrites.
Right.
In the 1930s. They were jealous of him because Master Prophet Muhammad left him in charge. And some of his own brothers, Kalat, some of his other blood brothers were like, man, I'm eating a grain of rice a day until I get him.
Until I kill him, yeah.
Yeah, that crazy stuff. So he was in D.C. for 7 years.
With Brother Benjamin.
And actually wound up being arrested by the Father Born Eye in 1942 in Washington, D.C. He turned himself in.
Right.
There's a whole, the whole history with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was released. They arrested him. They went up in the palace of Chicago and took a bunch of material, took the blueprints to the mother plane and asked Quentin Terry, he's like, what is this? He said, that's the Checkmate America.
Hey, you know what? I want to eventually, I want to have you do your own interview because I want to talk about the mother plane and everything like that. I'm a type of person where if you can't show and prove it, it doesn't exist to me. You know what I'm saying? If you can't show and prove, it does not exist. And the mother plane, I'm not gonna shoot it down because I'm also I'm open-minded. Huh?
That was
Come on,
bars right there.
stop, man. Stop, stop.
What's that?
We got. We can't do that on this one. Right?
I know. Listen, brothers. Listen, I want nobody. Listen, all due respect, nation. I love you, but he said shoot the concept down. I was like, oh shoot, bars. So I was like,
oh, I thought you said pause. I was like,
no.
I
I said bars.
Oh,
You said shoot the mother plane down like bars. Like bars.
You know what? You know what I love about the gods is that, of course, we know and understand that is some supreme technology, right? And of course, the Caucasian man. Well, Mesfer Muhammad actually let him have two of the whales. One in Roswell, and there was another one that Mussolini got his hands on, and they borrowed some of that technology. They studied it. Now we have cell phones and Zoom and all these
fiber optics, microwave, a
lot
of stuff.
But pardon me.
We all drive cars, God, right?
All right.
Now I drive a car. I drive a Cadillac, right? And of course you can't see it, but I mean, if I get from one place to the other, I drive. But one thing I love about the gods is that we had that the esoterical breakdowns in the mother plane. The half by half a mile, is 1 + 2 by 1 + 2, 3 by 3, 33rd degree in masonry, the 15 rungs, or dealing with the 15th line and 1 to 36. The righteous Muslim dealing with the two ciphers of knowledge and wisdom. That's the 1500 baby planes and rocket stuff. He said, I'm dropping bombs, and from the east they come. You know, and so the mouth that the knowledge and the wisdom that proceeds forth from my mouth are like those two ciphers, and those are bombs that drill down into the earth from 1 to 6 miles.
1 to 6 miles.
Otherwise known as 16, which is otherwise known as who is the 5% of this poor part of the planet Earth. We could take it there.
Right.
Yes, the mother plane book right there.
All right. So
I got that book.
Real quick. I just wanna make a disclaimer. As far as the 5% teachings in the nation of gods and earths, the nation of gods and earths don't deal with the mother plane and the will and all of that. With all due respect, however, I'm open-minded to hear what you have to say on that, because for me, I don't believe in it at all. And if you can show and prove that these things exist, I'm all ears, I'm all eyes, I'm all third eye, whatever. You know what I mean?
Shout out, real quick, I'll say this. Shout out to our good brother Wesley Muhammad, aka True Islam, for the research he's done. He's done some crazy research. A number of years ago.
Because he's one of the 5%. He's also a Nation of Islam and on the executive council, and consults very closely with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he has written several books. One of his recent books is on the Anunnaki, and the other one that he did, The Chariot of Gods.
Gods. I did a number of years ago. He and I he asked me to aid and assist in some of the research that went into some of his initial work on the mother plane, because it's also an area of it's also one of my personal areas of research and expertise. So
now I want to ask you, brothers. Now this is my own thing, right? Now, as far as the mother plane, what did Khalid Muhammad say about I think this subject here, not necessarily the mother plane and the will and all that. He was just talking about we looking up here, but our issue is really on planet Earth.
Oh, he was talking about cult, man.
I want to.
He was referring. Not to cut you off, God. He doesn't cut your wisdom. He's referring to cult, man, when he said you got a brother talking about he's from outer space, but we got problems.
Right. Yeah, we got problems here right on Earth that we haven't even figured out yet. We're going through total hell, kids killing each other, violence is up, ignorance is up. Some of these kids can't even really read. So, I want to deal with that.
All right. Well,
like I said, I'm willing to hear people out. Yeah.
You're talking to somebody who walked with Khalid. Khalid was my comrade. Khalid and I did joint lectures together in New York City, Atlanta, and DC. Khalid Muhammad walked a similar path that I walked. I am not a Mason or a Shriner, but I am a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. I pledge old school. Khaled pledged old school. We had that common ground. I don't have a doctorate, but I am a writer. I'm an author of several books. And when Khaled and I met, we immediately became very good friends. And we began to I would bring him down to Atlanta and chop it up, and we would, do the lectures inside the mosque and outside in the community with the conscious community, the Kwanzaa Fest, and all of that good stuff. Professor Griffin, I would open up for him in New York City, and here in DC, I built with him. I connected him with Brother Steve Coakley. May Allah also be pleased with him.
Rest in peace, for real.
And so you talk to someone who was close to Dr. Khaled.
He froze.
So I know the
Dr.
Khaled. I know the Dr. Khaled, and then I know of his history even before I met him. I know the Dr. Khaled that was came into the nation around 1967 when I was 2 years old. I know the Dr. Khaled who became Dr. Rashideen.
Mm-hmm.
He fell in 1975, and Khaled also went with Imam Warifdeen, but eventually left him when the minister started rebuilding it. So I know that Khaled. I also was very close with Khaled when he was being tested, first by the believers at number 7 when he was the minister there. And I have the VHS video when Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan came to New York after his initial 90 days as being minister and said, and I paraphrase, "The harvest is ripe, but the laborers are crazy. What are you doing to my minister?" Because they were testing him and doing things like he would be in the middle of a heated delivery and they pull the plug on Dr. Khaled. But he would be tested, and Khaled was the only minister in the Nation of Islam that I've ever heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say that should something ever happen to me, this is the one. Woo. But that put a lot of pressure on Khaled, and the COINTELPRO and everything jumped on him. And he, because you have to, we all, among the gods, we stand on our own 2 feet, 10 toes down, right? Yeah. He has to take responsibility for the fact that he failed his second term examination. The trials and the tests that the minister was putting him through so that he could show himself approved that when the minister departed, he could carry this. So certain things that happen, like for instance, and these are things that a lot of people don't know. There was a laborers meeting at the palace, and Al Sharpton was there too. I think Reverend Jesse Jackson was there, and Dr. Alim, and the other laborers in the nation. And after the meeting, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan hugged everybody in that room. You know how humble and loving he is, going around hugging the Reverend Jesse Jackson, hugging Dr. Alim, and hugging this and that one. And he skipped right over Dr. Khaled. Dr. Khaled was just soaking. He's like, man, why am I being tested like this? And Reverend Al Sharpton told the minister, he said, brother minister, you forgot to hug Dr. Khaled. He said, oh, Khaled, come here. And he hugged, but he was testing him to see what he's made of, to see if he would turn on him. See, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there are 2 men that I taught intensely that I would never teach anyone else like I taught my son Wallace, who became Imam Warifdeen, and Malcolm X, because they both turned on me. So he always told Minister Farrakhan, I didn't teach you. Allah made you. He didn't spend time around the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the minister was trying Dr. Khaled, and he tried him severely. He had to show himself approved before he could be bestowed, the jewels for the next step. So I mean, that's a whole nother discussion, but because I know aspects of it, I lived through it, and Brother Dr. Colin and I talked as brothers about certain things and had arguments like brothers have arguments. And I actually had communication with him when he quote unquote left the nation. I know Brother Dr. Colin, and I know what he said, and I know what he didn't say. So I ain't never heard him say nothing about the mother plane while he was with the nation. Now I know in his angry state, when he left, yeah, man, he said some things about Master Prophet Muhammad I'll never repeat. He said some things about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad I'll never repeat. Because what do our lessons teach us? That the original man settles on the best part. We didn't care about the poor part.
Poor part. Right. Now, I like this conversation. I like your energy and everything like that, brother.
Appreciate you too, brother.
No doubt. Now,
love.
No doubt.
And
Now, what I want to do is I want to bring you back on and title this one the Nation of Islam. Is that good?
Absolutely.
All right. And as far as this pod, we're gonna have to call it Kamala Harris, Dred Scott case. Then we're gonna have to go Shahid, Muhammad Allah. History. We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, we gotta do the show over again. We gotta do this one over.
No worries. I mean, like for real, I'm honored, to share space with the brother, man. Because again, like I said before, huge influence on my own personal development. You know what I'm saying? Huge. And I'm not saying that to be patronizing. That's my brother, but huge influence. They put in heavy work and paved the way for a lot of us. Like there's a luminary in New York right now who worked in state government for a long time, and he's a somebody.
Hey, you know what though, more, and I don't mean to cut you off. The way that I'm thinking about this whole platform is like this, right? 20, yes. 30, 40 years ago, 40 years later, in the future, these videos are going to be up. The history is going to be there. So It's all about history for me as well. Like all the brothers of this time period, where it frozen in time right here on video.
Right. Exactly. I got a picture right in back of me. I don't know if y'all can see it you see that you see the comedic science. It's kind of like creation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, see, we got to go there. We got to go because we got to give our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and our community the foundation.
Right.
Because you said something about space. Well, we're on a planet that's spinning axis at 1,037 and a third miles per hour, counterclockwise, and traveling around the sun at 66,705 miles per hour, and the sun is traveling around the center of the universe. We are in space.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, real quick, I want to go to the chat real quick. This is a question, I guess, for you, Brother Sharif Bey.
Sure. U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2 is what allowed the slaves who were not considered as citizens but property to vote. Article 1, Section 2? Let's look it up. Let's not get off real quick. We're going to look this one up.
Yeah.
We're going to look this one up. Hold on. Google Constitution, Article 1. All righty. Article 1, hold on, Section 2. We're going to look that up. 2. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. There's nothing in there that says anything about property or slaves. But I just sent you a picture there, brother. Can you put that picture up? I don't know if you're able to. I could read from it.
Let's see if I could put that up there.
Let's see if we can put this up.
see. Yeah, it's probably gonna take a while. Let me see.
Well, while you're putting it up, I'll read from it, and before I read from it, I'll give the reference. Reference is from a man named Edward Kempf, Kempf. The name of the book is called Lincoln's Philosophy of Common Sense. I'm reading from page 510 of that book. And what he's doing on page 510 is that he transcribed and printed Lincoln's inaugural speech. This is what he says. I have said in substance that the Dred Scott decision was in part based on an assumed historical fact which were not really true. And I ought not to leave the subject without giving some reasons for saying this. I therefore give an instance or two, which I think fully sustained. Chief Justice Taney, in delivering the majority opinion of the court, insists at great length that Negroes were no part of the people who made and for whom was made the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution of the United States. On the contrary, Judge Curtis, in his dissenting opinion, shows that in 5 of the 13 states, to wit, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina, free Moors were voters, and that's what it says in the book, and in proportion to their numbers had the same part in making the Constitution that the white people had. He shows this with so much peculiarity as to leave no doubt in its truth, and as of a sort of conclusion on that point, holds the following language. Now he quotes Justice Curtis. This is what Justice Curtis had to say. The Constitution was ordained and established by the people of the United States through the action in each state of those people who were qualified by its laws to act thereon in behalf of themselves and all other citizens of the state. In some of the states, we have seen Moorish persons were among those qualified by law to act on the subject. These Moorish persons were not only included in the body of the people of the United States, by whom the Constitution was ordained and established, but in at least 5 of the states, they had the power to act, and doubtless did act by their suffrages upon the question of its adoption. So this opinion, when Curtis wrote this opinion, it embarrassed Taney so much that Taney rewrote his opinion and did not allow Curtis to see his rewritten opinion. That's actual history. So that blew Taney's thing out the water. In other words, this was one of those situations, follow me. This was one of those situations where beyond the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It was when the enemy, Satan, is divided against himself and he's beefing all with himself. He inadvertently, one party inadvertently lets out information that neither one of them wanted you to know.
That's a fact.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We fell from the constitutional standard and then the artificial narrative was put in place. You guys are just running around with bones in your nose, and we just grabbed you and civilized you via slavery.
No, that's not true.
Right.
Because many of the slaves, let's go back to 1555, when Sir Hawkins bought this ship named Jesus over here, and that 64-year history from 1555 to 1619 has been blotted out because that was a period of time where they conditioned the slaves, forced them to submit, because many of the slaves they first brought over here were Muslims, and they were working, and they weren't submitting. Nope. They weren't following instructions.
Nope. They weren't getting in line. They were not getting in line.
So, and this is one of the reasons why you got a game show, the $64 question or whatever. I mean, the devil would like to play games and give you bits and pieces of history, true history, right, but he gives it to you in riddles.
There you go.
And you got a character on Batman called the Riddler.
Right.
I used to call Dr. York. Your mom used to the Riddler.
Hold on. A little bit of history, Brother Ron. Remember the one writing back in the day? I don't know if you remember this, Brother Ron. You might not. Imam Isa has a God complex. Remember that?
Yep.
You know who wrote it? Tell him, brother.
I did. Part 1.
That's a
Now,
fact.
we don't take pride in back engaging, with this truth or whatever, but you know, we cast truth and falsehood till we knock out his brains, and that
Right.
Falsehood has no color on it,
Right.
Because you can be among the indigenous people and be tell a lie and trying to master the original truth. So
Mm-hmm.
let's deal with actual facts
Mm-hmm.
at all times, not half truth, mixed, diluted, tampered with, because then it's not original, right? So thank you for mentioning that, brother.
Oh, for sure.
That whole thing is deep because there are good things that came out of the Ansar community.
Right.
Jay-Z used to open up for Jazzo,
Right.
and Jay-Z rose up,
Right.
to the top, and he wear the sun, moon, and the stars. He wear the universal flag around his neck, right?
Right.
That. KMD,
KMD.
a Peach Fuzz, remember that?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Doom.
Yeah, MF Doom. That's right.
That ever did it. Came from KMD, Daddy O and Stetson Sonic.
Yep.
Andre 3000.
Andre 3000.
You know what I'm saying? Erica
Mhm.
by 5%, but she's heavily influenced by science. You can see it, and how
Speaking of Erica, when I was heavy in the music industry, we had her demo before she blew.
Yeah.
And in her demo, listen to this. No lie. And the song On and On?
Yes.
The original said, I was born underwater with $1 and $2.
Yeah.
They made her switch it because for the general public.
Yeah, with freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, they made her switch it. They originally said $1 and $2 for 120 lessons.
History is qualified, man. So when you're dealing with those legal opinions,
yes,
all of this is forcing us to know our stuff.
That's true. Now that I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because what I think happened right in time, right in history, that there's a generation gap.
Yes,
there's a generation gap between guys my age, Mikey age, and in y'all peer group, right? And then now our peer group and below us, 30s, etc. And I think there's this missing piece. And if we all come together, share information, we kind of close the gap.
Agreed.
It is.
Agreed.
That amount you mindful there, brother. How old? What's your physical degree?
Culture understanding.
I'm power born.
Right.
So not too much space between us, but there's some space.
Right.
Missing pieces. The God Sharif and I were talking about the God Shanti, who hail from Left Rack City,
right?
Desert, and his history, and he's got a book and probably a movie, definitely a book and a movie coming out, because this is a God who, when he joined the Seven Crowns in the early 1970s, and then eventually came into the 5%. He started running with Minister Allah. Do you know who Minister Allah is at Medina?
Minister Allah.
Okay, if you don't know.
But but Brother Ron, you are definitely familiar with the phrase "gangster gods," though.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We spoke about that.
I know.
Well, we're gonna be a little discreet here.
Yes.
Because Brother Shanti, he went on he did a little time, something happened when he was running with Minister Law, and
right.
Those two individuals didn't die, and he went up for a gun charge. Well, when he came out, Grandmaster Anthony, otherwise known as Brother Abdul Aziz, he's the student assistant supreme captain, is convinced Brother Steve, when he came out of prison, to go into the nation and just walk a perfect straight line. So he did, and he went to school. He went to Howard University with a young Sean Combs before he was Sean Puffy Combs. He went to Howard with Ron Lawrence, who became one of Puffy's baddest producers, and he was in there with the God Shabazz, and they became the best of friends. and it was a young Shanti Allah who ran with Puffy and guarded him against people like Haitian Jack, who tried to extort Ron Lawrence and a young Sean Puffy Combs. And he sent Haitian Jack running with his tail between his legs. See, a lot of people don't know this history, but this brother went full circle and went on to get his doctorate in education and become one of the baddest principals that New York City ever had. This brother's story is epic. This brother grew up with Supreme.
I think I know who you're talking about. I think I know who you're talking about.
Well, you might know. You might know. He's kind of a ghost, you know, kind of invisible, but stand right before you, just don't know who he is. But it's okay.
I think it's a documentary with the Supreme documentary.
No, he's not in any of those documentaries.
You sure about that? Because I think there's a charter school open that one of them knew Puffy very well. Wow.
Yeah. All right. I would have to see it. But I'm just saying that to say this, that's a key part of that. Those key parts of history, some of it is unwritten, some of it hasn't been recorded. But that's a good thing for you know, various reasons, because COINTELPRO is still very much alive, and they take bits and pieces of this and that and do the remix like they hijack hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And rebooted it, and now is and no disrespect to the alternative community, but it's like gender fluid music.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did I say something wrong?
No, you're good.
Now, Cypher. Now, you know. Now, I want to cut this interview.
You gotta come back.
We got to come back on this one, brother. Shahid, we got to talk, brother. If we could do an interview with you only next week, on one of the Tuesday or Thursday, that'll be peace. So thank you for showing up. I greatly appreciate this.
Beautiful history, man. Very deep
history. Brother
thank
Sharif.
You, Reef.
Now we know brother Sharif a little bit better now.
Yes, thank you, Reef. For real.
Yeah.
Tip of the iceberg, brother.
Indeed,
right.
Indeed. And we are out of here. Peace to the chat.
Salute to